So, Greg, remember we are on this trip, this adventure through old New York.
Yes, we're going through our adventure. Where are we going next?
We're going to head away from City Hall. We're going to climb up over to the 6th Avenue elevated at Chambers Street. And we are rattling our way high above the avenue toward Herald Square, stopping actually one station earlier at 28th Street. And we're going to take the stairs down to 28th and 6th Avenue. Greg, it's the year 1887.
Ooh, there's a lot going around us. This is a hop-in area at that time, right? The city's main theater district. We went from the business district now to the theater district. All these theaters have crept up Broadway from Union Square and Madison Square. We see marquees, white light bulbs blazing.
But in fact, a couple years from now, in 1902, reporter Shep Friedman from the New York Evening Telegram will coin the term Great White Way to describe the light that those very marquees give off just next to us over on nearby Broadway, but here around Herald Square.
And let's make brief mention of the department stores that are around here. Those also went up 6th Avenue over the years. We look down at 23rd Street, we might see some of the big ones. And there's still a lot of New Yorkers here bustling with shopping, heading into the brand new office buildings, hotels that are sprouting up here.
Yeah, because there are hotels up here now.
Yes,
By the 1880s. But look down the side streets, and you'll probably notice that there are a lot of men hanging around here as well. And you see lots and lots of bars down the streets. And other establishments of probably a bawdier nature.
Why, Tom, I believe you've brought us to the Tenderloin, New York's notorious vice district in the late 19th century. I started the show so respectfully, so dignified, and you drag us here in the middle of the afternoon. I'm shocked.
Stop clutching your pearls, Greg. I will protect you here in Satan Circus. Yes, this neighborhood, the Tenderloin, stretched basically from about 23rd Street up to about 42nd Street in these blocks, mostly west of 6th Avenue. And as we walk here, you'll see the gambling parlors on 28th Street, and the brothels here on 29th Street, all the way up to 66 West 30th Street. This 3-story building here at the southeast corner of 6th Avenue and 30th. The one with mostly men streaming into it.
Are they walking into a theater? It's certainly lit up like a theater.
Oh, but it's not. That theatrical disguise is part of the fun.
Okay.
This is the Haymarket, the city's wildest and best-known dance hall, which the city's police chief described in 1887 as, quote, animate with the licentious life of the avenue.
Licentious life. That's what I'm here for. So where's the door?
Well, we enter right here, actually, on 6th Avenue.
Okay.
This is an interesting place. By one account I found, it was built in the 1860s as a public bath, but then converted into a dance hall by a man named Billy McMahon in 1872, with this room here facing 6th Avenue operating as a gambling hall. And in the earliest years, and according to an article I found, quote, the place was about as disreputable a dive as the city could boast of.
Sounds promising. And he named it the Haymarket?
Yes, after the famous or notorious London Street, where anything goes. And here, too, anything went. And as with many similar places in New York City, then and also now, the Haymarket would open and it would close. It would sometimes change its name when necessary, perhaps after forgetting to pay off the police. But then it would reopen and the party would just continue. And McMahon made a fortune off of the place. And in the late 1890s, the Haymarket was then taken over by a man named Edward Corey, who ran it for some of its even wilder and more profitable years. An article I found in 1903 states that he had made $500,000 off of it in the previous 5 years.
So I'm interested in going in a little further and seeing what's inside here. So take me on a tour.
Okay, let's push inside. It is a raucous scene in here. You've got bands playing, saloon girls high-kicking and swirling around with male clientele on the floor, men who laugh and whisper in their ears around the dance floor at small tables while perhaps offering them champagne and little sparkling gifts that are being pulled from their pockets.
I'm getting a feel of like Moulin Rouge or something like that.
Oh, we'll get there.
Oh, but is this a brothel? Are these women sex workers?
Well, it's a dance hall.
Okay.
And a gambling den. And yes, many of those women and also some of the men were also sex workers. They were dancing, though not too close with the men. And then many were spending private time with them upstairs in curtained off areas in the balcony overlooking the dance floor. And also up in private rooms on the third floor. A 1903 Buffalo News article offered a highly sanitized description of the place, but I encourage you to read between the lines. The dancing floor of the Haymarket is small, but the dancers manage to wind in and out with a tolerable degree of comfort. Around the floor are small tables for the dancers. On the 30th Street side are several large drinking rooms. Upstairs are more drinking rooms, and on three sides are galleries. At the east end of the hall is a stage where an orchestra plays the dance music, and the west side is a promenade floor where another orchestra plays between dances. The place is ablaze with lights, and about midnight each night, when it's crowded with well-dressed people, it is a brilliant spectacle. Most of the men are very young college youths, although there is usually a sprinkling of bald heads. Young men and old men alike dance.
So a wild and crazy time. Sounds very masculine, I would say.
Well, it does sound like some female clients came as well, but perhaps not intentionally. Mm-hmm. It looks so much like a theater, in fact, from the outside, as Timothy Guilfoyle wrote in A Pickpocket's Tale, that, quote, an innocent man and his wife could have wandered into the Haymarket and been entirely unconscious of what was going on around them. Unquote, perhaps after a couple of drinks.
Well, I bet they'd have some stories to tell back home, at least.
And that was exactly the point for many of the people who would visit the Haymarket. And many were men visiting the city and, looking for a little adventure to tell their friends once they got back home. That same article from 1903 wrote that, quote, people from cities of the interior visit the Haymarket so as to have something particularly wicked to tell of a recent slumming expedition in New York, unquote.
And then what article was from 1903?
That's right, yeah.
By which point it was getting shut down and reopened and shut down and reopened again with some regularity. Mm-hmm. It's surprisingly hard to find firsthand accounts of what precisely went down at this place. We've looked for them. Trust me.
We have probably spent more time than most other people.
I'm actually begging to find more. I need to know more about what went on. I mean, there's lots of retroactive reporting.
Yeah. It was so notorious that several reform mayors, including Seth Low, pledged to clean up the entire Tenderloin area and to close places exactly like this forever, right? We did an episode on this subject, this cleanup effort. That's episode number 355, The Midnight Adventures of Dr. Parkhurst. So I found an article like this one from 1903 in which the Haymarket's owner went on the record here for the article, maintaining that everything was actually above board. This is a bit of a publicity stunt, right? In fact, the article's headline is, quote, darker New York is gradually emerging from its gloomy past. About, all of the cleanup efforts and, quote, dismal dens and dives are slowly but surely being wiped out. So this seems like spin, right? They even say of its past that, quote, the era of license and abandon of vice are strictly continental, which I suppose it was their own way of sort of taking a dig at Paris, right? This place had been dirty in a Moulin Rouge kind of way.
Okay, so I was picturing this kind of correctly, like the dancing girls and the drinks, the champagne, perhaps the absinthe. Who knows what else
je
was
ne
going
sais quoi, yes. But now, in 1903, the Haymarket's owner, Edward Corey, insisted that it was, quote, an absolutely respectable dive. No visitor is ever robbed, assaulted, or treated badly at the Haymarket. And it is claimed that no liquor is sold there after the legal hour of 1 a.m. After that hour, sociability, the dance, and jolly conversation go on uninterrupted.
Oh, I'll bet some jolly conversations went on.
but notably, he writes that, quote, no unseemly conduct of women is allowed in this dancing hall. If one of the women makes the least misstep, Corey sees it. No matter in which part of the hall he may be, the warning finger goes up and the woman goes out, never more to come back to the Haymarket. Now the dances are spoken by the unthinking as, quote, models of decorum.
That's a little over the top, don't you think? I mean...
You don't think they were models of decorum?
It kind of seems like the Haymarket was playing up this phony sanctimonious claim in order to get publicity, right? In a way like a theatrical impresario would do.
That seems quite likely.
Mm-hmm.
And also to try at least to stay in business.
Yeah.
As Mike Wallace and Edwin Burroughs wrote of the Haymarket in their book Gotham, quote, the notorious Haymarket had a veneer of outward decency. It forbade its wealthy clientele from close-up dancing with prostitutes and expelled working-class girls who turned out for an evening's fun if they displayed their ankles. At the same time, it thoughtfully provided curtain galleries behind which discreet sex could be practiced. Visiting firemen or men about town could also repair to the Haymarket's balcony level, where cubicles featured sex exhibitions or circuses.
And I must say, if you want to see what it might have been like, just some image of it, well, it was actually used in the last season of HBO's The Gilded Age.
That's right. In season 3, Larry spots Maud Beaton working at the Haymarket, and Oscar heads in one night to confront her. And it's kind of just amazing the way that the show actually brought this dance hall to life in the mid-1880s. It's extraordinary. You see dancing. There was a female boxing match. Remember that part?
Mm-hmm. Lots of loud music.
Yep.
Lots of drunk men.
Yes. Larry was there. He wasn't drunk. He didn't do anything wrong, Marion. But his presence there created a lot of drama.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it was vividly brought to life. Something else that the show brought to life and depicted was the real life danger that was facing the mostly women who work there and the precarious situations that led them to work at this and other, similar establishments.
Mm-hmm.
These women, like Maud Beaton, were put frequently into very dangerous situations. In 1907, the painter John Sloan captured the dance hall's exterior in his painting, The Haymarket, 6th Avenue. He paints several women donning gorgeous white dresses and long feathers in their hats, entering the Haymarket at night on their own.
Well, I mean, let's face it, just that alone would have been pretty scandalous. If you remember my dining room at the Astor House story, what women could do of their own volition, it was not always easy to travel as a single woman.
No. The Brooklyn Museum, which owns the painting, wrote that this painting, The Haymarket, quote, was especially provocative because it showed lavishly dressed women entering a well-known dance hall unaccompanied by male companions. These women were independent and pleasure-seeking, defying society's expectations. This type of realism in art shocked many viewers who were accustomed to idealizing and genteel subjects.
Mm-hmm. So this was still a scandal then in 1907.
Mm-hmm.
So who killed the party? The Haymarket is not there anymore, obviously. Who turned the lights on?
Well, those reform crusades started to take their toll because around the same time that Sloan was painting the Haymarket, the city's Committee of 14 made closing down places just like it their mission. And in 1911, the city chose not to renew the Haymarket's dance hall license. So suddenly, after nearly 40 years, the dancing stopped. And without the dancing, the place was sort of a shell of its former self. But also by then, the neighborhood had changed because just the previous year, in late 1910, the city's largest new train station, Pennsylvania Station, had opened just one avenue and one block away.
And anyway, by the time it closed, the theater district, which it surrounded itself in, had actually moved up to 42nd Street, was going very rapidly up there to that busy intersection, which would be, of course, renamed Times Square.
Places like the Haymarket, of course, didn't disappear entirely from New York, of course. But they didn't stay here. Greg, you don't have to go home.
But you can't stay here.
So in 1911, the Haymarket was sold off to investors and soon was demolished. And for years, it sat empty, before finally being replaced with a squat commercial building. The 6th Avenue Elevated came down in 1938, bringing in some sunlight and fresh air to the block. And today, throngs of tourists and commuters and office workers race past that corner daily, pushing their way toward Penn Station, completely unaware of the music and the dancing and all the rest that made the Haymarket one of New York's most infamous addresses for nearly 40 years.
Well, I think that's enough sin for one afternoon, wouldn't you say?
Did I mention that today there's actually a marijuana dispensary on the very spots?
Okay, enough. Enough.
It's true. I was there today. I mean, not inside the dispensary.
Well,
I took a photo.
There may be a little sin in our story coming up next, but more of the dietary kind. We head west to Chelsea to enjoy a very different kind of guilty pleasure right after this.